Welcome to HealthTech Growth, the weekly podcast for healthcare founders and innovators, where we explore essential strategies to create successful and sustainable healthcare startups that improve patient outcomes and transform the healthcare industry.
Women's health has been a growing marketplace and focus in the recent years as we start seeing big celebrities and start launching their own innovation brand, especially in the perimenopausal space. Now, people feel like it's no longer just taboo. It's actually all of women have to go through. So how are we creating support in this space and matching what the trend is going, or we're actually slowing down and not able to meet the uprising need? Today, we are so excited for Mayra from Prelude Health joining us. She is the co-founder of a hormonal therapy company within the women's health space, specifically for the perimenopausal and menopausal women. So, Mayra, tell us, how did you, of all the things in women's health or in healthcare for that matters, of any niche that you can go into, how come you picked this specific niche about perimenopausal?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. And I would love to share my story. And I think it's my story is not so different than many of the female founders in the women's health space. Many of us started with our own experience going or learning about different stages of our lives and finding that there was serious gaps that we needed to fulfill. In my case, going into my late 30s, learning more about what perimenopause and menopause is, learning about healthy aging, longevity, really caught my attention. And just to give you a bit of perspective, my background is marketing. I was leading the go-to-market team for Southeast Asia, Australia, New Zealand for Adidas. And, for us, bringing products to market was all about understanding the consumer, understanding trends, predicting trends. So that's exactly how I approach the problem. I see I have a problem. Who else has the problem? On the basis of that, we did a bit of a research and we realized that there was a huge gap. But the fantastic thing is that there was a huge opportunity and that we have a market there ready to be engaged. And that's in a very quick runabout how we got to found Prelude Health, with its key product at the moment being Hormony, my co-founder, Dr. Kumble, and I.
Yeah, it's exciting for you guys to have that personal story. I think most people, when you have that personal buy-in, and it's you, whether is you build it for yourself and versus people build it for their family because they gone through that caregiver journey, right? Or with people and they really see the gap. And so they wanted to find a solution for everybody else out there. Now, your co-founder is also a lucky find. I feel like a lot of time that partnership in some way is a synchronization. And we always think that when you're creating companies that are the top 3 tier of people and that need to be very much gel together, and then you recently actually found your third leg, right? Like the triangle is the strongest shape in the geometry. So when we're thinking about it, right, we always have the visionary and we always have a strategist. And what we also want is the true implementer, right? And it seems like, tell me how you guys, the 3 of you guys have come together to help each other out.
Well, actually, how it all happened is, the basis of it, the science is actually Dr. Kumble and Joe Dunbar. Dr. Kumble, Sarita, her expertise is blood testing. Her previous company, she built out of her garage, where she built an ELISA machine for blood testing. This is almost 20 years ago, and the company is still going very successfully. Then the next scientist that it's key in this whole process is Joe Dunbar, is a former athlete. And this is really important because we've taken a lot of the inspiration on how athletes approach their health and try to bring this to support women during this stage. And then most recently, Todd Mawire, who joined us, previously had built a platform for prevention of diabetes. Very effectively engage women. Mostly they realized that women were one of their key, women in this age group was one of their key users, working with universities, insurance, to prevent diabetes, but also help them improve their health, anything from weight management. And there are the part of the science, the part of the tech, but yes, so the part where I come in is trying to piece all of these things together in a way that is consumer friendly, so it can be available not just in the lab or not just for the techies, but it's also available for every woman to have at home.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we always talk about, that remote care. How do you bring care directly to people's home? And then at that time, people have more control over and leverage of what those solutions are. And I know you been working really hard at this, and you were last month's HealthTech Showdown winner for the Women's Health event. And then our next one coming up this month is all about remote care. And so I think a lot of time these solutions do cross pollinate into many different areas. And that's the beauty of what we're building in the tech enabled and tech focused world of healthcare. Now, for you guys, how have you been growing such far? You have great people, you have a professional athlete, clinicians, as scientists who has been building these for a while, and then you're onboarding someone who has an adjacent remote care platform, so you're able to adapt those organizational skill, right, technology skills, all in sync into each other. So how is that coming along with the dynamic of how things are going right now?
Well, I think, like you said just now, one of the great things is that our skills are complementary. So what works very well is that everybody has a specific set of experience that has helped shaped, which has been fantastic. I think the build has been really a fantastic experience with all the iterations. I think where the challenge is, and some of the things that we've discussed in our coaching sessions, is that at the end of the day, we're still a small team, right? So finding the right process and systems to keep moving and make changes fast, which in a way is also good because we are more agile. We don't have that heavyweight machinery, and decisions can be done very quickly. So it's about finding that balance that we've discussed in some of our coaching sessions that has been key for us.
Right. It's for everybody who's hearing, right? No matter if you are building your startup, you're running your own venture fund, you're running a whole organization, all of us are, at the end of the day, is finding somewhat of harmony and balance into the things that we're doing, because we have such a strong belief system in creating sustainability within any leader, team, and organization. If we don't have sustainability, that means there's no resilience. And resilience truly is the three factors of having more health, having more lightness, and for some people, it's just that ease and flow of things. And then also having more space. And space could also just mean allow yourself to have boundaries, be okay to say no, and having the space to also continue to innovate without being stuck in the mindset of, oh, I got burned before. I done this workshop, that workshop, these accelerators, these investment pitches, just nothing works for me. if we're stuck in those victim mindset, or we stuck in the past didn't do it for me, then it's very difficult to be an entrepreneur in any era.
Yes, absolutely. And I think I want to pick from a couple of things that you mentioned. One is, I mean, being an entrepreneur is not easy. That's the reality. And I think specifically women's health is an area that has been overlooked in the past. So it's not easy, but I do think that every step of the way, there's something to be learned. So somebody asked me, how do you deal with failure? And I think it's that I just don't, failure to me is not really, oh, we're done, it's finished, it's over. Failure is more like redirection. It's like, okay, this we learn has to be done in a different way, let's try the different way. So that's one thing. But the other thing that you mentioned about not being stuck, that I think it's quite important, or about getting space, that I've learned is that we need to very consciously take that space, because sometimes, like you said, we get stuck in this like operation mode, and it isn't until I take a step back and start looking at the big picture and try to analyze what can be changed or what should be different, then I get like ideas to but it's not easy. Like I'm mentioning it because for me what you said is really important, and as a founder it's not necessarily something that we do very easily.
Right. We have the tendency of, let me just push a little bit more. Let me just get this done. And then hours go by. A lot of us probably forgot to drink water, to even go to the bathroom, probably like didn't even eat yet, right? Your unintentional fasting over there, right? And you're like, oh, I'm back-to-back meetings, especially right now, where you're just one Zoom after another, and then you're WebExing. There's someone else is pinging you for something else that you have to jump in. And it just
Hi.
Hello. All right. Like my computer completely just froze, and then creating these weird noises. And then I'm like,
Oh
okay,
no.
I guess you'll shut down now.
I sometimes those are signs that you need to go for a walk. That's how I take it.
Oh yeah. So I was just having this conversation. So my computer actually died, and I'm using my old laptop that's a Surface Pro. And so I was talking to Shauna about this because she's the expert in realignment and seeing how you can leverage your energetic side versus your personal side. And one of the things that we talked about is what is this a sign, right? Just like you're saying. And now everything in life can be a sign if you choose to take it, or you can choose to not to take it. And for her is that just like how we were mentioning about having space, she's like, maybe it's your computer telling you that you need take some space for yourself.
And that also means I gave myself the grace of having 4 days of no laptop. And then I was doing a little bit of clinical work anyway, right? So I was like, I can allow myself to sleep for a few days.
I agree. I think everything is a sign, and it can be always depends how you take it. It can always turn into a good thing.
Right, exactly. And then sometimes if all of us tend to do what? Going from one conference to another, going to one city to the next, and you're constantly at the motion of moving, engaging. Now, a lot of us are type A, and you have that type of energy to entertain. However, we still have to reset. And if we don't allow ourselves a reset, that's also very challenging. And we've seen that throughout the prep work doing our game show. So everyone get on a clarity call. And based on the clarity call, we can see where are you the right fit for this month's event. And okay, you're all women's health, great. Well, there's other applicants. And can the applicants really fit here? Or perhaps they're actually better at diagnostic. Now, then it's about what's next. We need to make sure people are pitch perfect, right? Like you say it eloquently, you tell your story, you feel at ease, and you enjoy saying it. And it becomes something that you repeat over and over, and then the rest of the company start adapting. Then you truly have a brand that's not confusing. And then based on that, we know people always want a more connection, always wanted the next phase of growth. But one person is really hard, right? I always say you have to have your left hand, the right hand, actually know where each other's at. So then you can make a high five and make a sound. But if you don't really know where you're hitting, then we're just air five, right? And so we bring together that mini board. So for you, what was the most helpful when you got through that experience?
I think the coaching sessions, what was really good first is that they gave me a lot of ideas that I haven't necessarily thought about. And, I've talked to many people every day. So it's really nice and refreshing to get ideas that are actionable, that I can take on and do something. And it was too short, to be very honest. But the thing that I really, really enjoy, and I told you this before, is the pitch practice. I've done many pitch practices before, and I had coaching, but it was just so practical. It was just this, and that because of this, and like that. It was like very quick, very fast, because at the end of the day, we don't have much time to get it done. And I think exactly what you said, I enjoyed a lot more pitching it because it was more clear. And yeah, of course, I'm happy we won, right? But I did enjoy a lot more pitching that pitch. And now I'm just happy to keep improving on that one. But at least I feel the base is a lot more stable.
Right. It's you start embody the story that you're telling instead of feeling like you are crafting something to memorize and to present. Right. That is the out of body feeling instead of this is me. This is what I believe, and this is something that I adapt and into. So for most people that are hesitating going through the program, do you feel like it is worth of what we are presenting for?
Oh, I definitely think they should go for it, raise their hands to go through it. Just those couple of hours, I think we're a little bit more than that, was already quite useful because it was impactful, it was quick, it was straight to the point. And I think that the additional thing is the possibility to get our message to more people, because at the end of the day, yes, we're building a company, but we're building a company that hopefully is going to support many women, and we want those women to hear the message. And we do believe that platforms like this allow us to get that message to the right people.
Yeah, exactly. It's that intentionality. We can talk to many, many people. However, if those people are not raising their hand to say, this is exciting, I wanted to be one of your champion, let's do something together, then it just a good conversation that didn't really lead anywhere. And I think a lot of time founders are struggling is that they have a lot of good conversation, and then they felt like people are dragging them along and not really going to perhaps close that deal or wanted to make an offer. And so they felt very discouraged. And so in that progress, I believe there's both, right? There's the mindset shift of, can you recognize when people are actually confused themselves and not necessarily they're dragging you along because they clearly wanted to keep in touch. They're still interested in some degree, but there's going to be something that's missing. Do you know how to figure out the missing pieces? And if you don't, what in the past conversation or who else you can talk to figure out the missing pieces? I think it was something that you even told me, right, when we were working on your pitch practice, is that, well, you've been pitching for many years and you've done this and you heard a lot of things that we put in the book and the practice framework for you, but putting it in the way that we did it somehow made more sense.
Yes, exactly. And I think it's that whole step between knowing the theory, one thing. Second is I think we also get what we call workshop blindness, where I've been pitching and I see the same deck and the same information so many times and so many permutations. It's really nice on one hand to get another set of eyes, but on the other hand, help us land all that theoretical framework into something very practical. I think those two steps were the things that really made the difference.
Yeah. And I think that's a similar thing I heard from other contestants. It's like, wow, in such a short amount of time, you're able to give me this very specific breakdown. And we use the 8-pointer persuasion framework. And what people are perhaps you and me understand, because we've been in marketing, public speaking for a while, and we understand when we talk to people, doesn't matter, it's massively to everybody, just like we're doing right now. We don't necessarily know who's watching this, hearing us. We know our framework of all these people connected through different platforms. So in the way that we communicate, we still have to be more generalized. And we still have to keep in mind the ideal people that we wanted to talk to. What are their pain points? How they make their buying decision? And how do we talk in a way that matches what they care about? Because it's very different when the call to action or additional information need to be fed to an investor versus when you're wanting to close that deal. And those medical directors are not going to hear much about the same way that you will show your investor ROI. Now they might care about ROI into how you are supporting their patients and billing the insurance in some way to drive additional revenue and offload their staff, right? So it's about matching the ideal scenario of what they see as the most valuable to them, so you can recrafting your story. But at the end of the day, I believe that framework doesn't change. Your story doesn't change. It's how you're going to expand certain sections or shorten them and change your call to action. That's most important.
Right. Exactly. And I think to that point, the things that we've been having to work through is, one, yes, we have a message that resonates with women very well. When we've been published on newspaper, we get a sign-ups every second because it's just a message that it's relatable, because all women will go through it, right? So we get a lot of traction there. But then the next stage is, how do you communicate to the distributors that we're going to start working with? Again, like you said, how do you explain to them the benefits to their stores, to their people, the members of their insurance? That's is the same story, but with a different tonality. And then there's a message that you need to explain the people that you want to get on board on your cap table. Why are we both the right partners to get this message, message and this project over the line? And I think that while we're very good at potentially getting a lot of women interested because we are the consumer. It really helped us putting the dots together on how do we want to communicate with the potential partners that we want to have in this journey.
Right. Because the strategic partnership is still very key for most companies. That's why people constantly going to conferences thinking, hey, who is in the right sphere for us to partner with? So then we all support similar clientele, and you simply provide a different service than me, and it just makes sense. What we call that's the new way of doing business, is the
Absolutely.
collaborative business model. And when you are in a collaborative business model, it's not the passive referral anymore. It's actually embedding existing business and program and services in on top of each other and make sense of it as a unity. Right? We've seen that with EHR platforms that has a marketplace, right? And perhaps they are more for clinicians, but then someone else coming in with a patient portal, someone else coming in with more interoperability, someone else coming in with physician staffing, right? So you all fill a different bucket. And then for you, is you're coming in with a hormonal diagnostic that most people are still trying to figure out how accurate, how frequent, what does that experience look like, what's the data tracking, and then matching with other people who are also doing menopause, but in a different method. And then you can complementing each other, right? And at the end of the day, it's about finding the right complement to each other's business. And I think that's why we also encourage people to stay lean. You mentioned it's cap table. Our entire business model is we become your non-equity partner, because as you guys grow phase, you're going to take this a lot bigger. So why take away or give away your equity in that early stage when you really needed to know how to reinvest in yourself so you can have that faster scalability, right? So talk to us about your mindset, because I think many people are always busy, right? We are all busy doing something. And sometimes it's really hard for us to say, hey, I needed to just pause for a second. Am I even on the right track right now, since I'm so busy? And then I don't even have that many people to manage. Your guys have 3 major leaders and you have a lot of contractors. So you do have your hands in multiple things. But when you're thinking about the capacity of talent, you guys are very high-end talent. But then you also have these lower level talent that has no middle people in it. So sometimes that dynamic is a challenge in itself. To stop, to regroup and rethink, it can be very difficult for many people to do, right?
Right. And I mean, I worked in both. I worked from very large companies to startups before, and the dynamic is different. I think it has to do a lot with people's skill set and personalities. Me particularly, I really enjoy being hands-on, but at the same time, I really enjoy working with people that know more than me. And also, I had teams that I've taken since interns, and they grew up in my team until they were their own managers. So I think there's a space for each one of these personalities and also roles. And at the end of the day, what's really important is what you said at the start of this conversation: is how do we stay focused, have one clear strategy to go after that, but at the same time be flexible and nimble enough to adjust if we need to refocus or we need to change something. And I think having a small team allows for that as well. Not to say that everything is great and perfect when you're a small team, but I do believe, again, where do you focus and how do you take signs? I believe it's a positive thing.
Right. And that's one of the questions that you asked me, right? So Mayra not only is our showdown winner, congratulations again. And for anybody else who's wanting to be able to step on our stage of a game show, that's a Shark Tank meets Apprentice of activity. We don't just throw you on stage. We gave you the personalized sessions to prep you to get persuasive messaging and put together a board that actually matches where you want to go for the next quarter. And so you become much more meaningful when you reach this introduction. I think the challenge for many people is like, I need to meet more people. I need to meet decision maker. And then we're like, do you know what you're going to say so you don't fumble? Right. And so that's really detrimental. If you fumble, you get too nervous, you lost your story, your train of thought, you lost that opportunity. Now, one of the things, Mayra, I believe you asked me very early on when we start engaging is, Sabrina, I'm about to hire those new people. I'm like, okay, but we need to know you first, right? They need to come in to support you. If we don't even know how well you, your co-founder, Todd, right, the new CTO, you guys are relatively new to each other as well, right? Every time you onboard someone, there is a dynamic of how successful they feel in the next 90 days to achieve certain market, right? So that's really will help to project then retention, then performance. And also, how can we predict how they're going to feel good about, oh, I see it. I'm not confused, right? Like this makes sense. This is exactly what I thought it is. It's not what you say initially is not matching once I come in, right? That's very detrimental. I've been in those positions on boards that founder are super passionate. And then when you go into the back end, you're like, oh, I thought we have 6 different accounts. How come we already have 2, right? Where is that extra hype that's not really real? And so it's become that very intentional thing of looking at you, how people need to make sure they see you, understood you. And they also see when you're deactivated, when you're stressed, when you are pissed off, when you are in the state of just uncertainty, how people help you move forward, right? Instead of sometimes when you're in that state, someone else have no idea how to help you. They become very flustered. And then we're just in the whirlwind, right? So I'm excited to also hear your perspective as you start to go through that leadership maximizer and then Pathfinder to do the SWOT. What do you want to get most out of that process?
I think what would be very interesting for us to do at this stage, because we've been talking for months. So at this stage, after all the conversations that we had, would be to look at the next 3 months of our launch plans or go to market, get into detail what are the type of skill sets that we want to have, how do we structure it. Of course, we have an idea but I found it in the past very useful to have another pair of eyes to question us, of course, but also to give an idea of things that we might have missed. And especially, coming from marketing, I appreciate those conversations with you. So I'm very excited about the go-to-market part, but maybe I'm just biased.
Well, bias also because the 2 of us initially met at the Women's Health event. Mayra was at a cohort of Accelerator in Connecticut. And then we drove down to another FunTech event that I was speaking at and she was pitching at. And the entire trip, pretty much, we just talk about marketing, right? And spinning out ideas. So the key thing I believe in that process, I'm always saying, you have to know your people, your resource first. And I think most people would do the opposite, right? We go in to say, what is the plan? Let's get a plan together. So then I can figure out what to do with it. And then we always say, can we do the opposite? Can we figure out people talent, resource talent, financial, right? So where is your human capital laid? Where's your social capital? Means that environment, the empower ecosystem you built. And where's your actual financial capital that you have set aside that's good cash flow or you have been raising? And then is what is the set of tools, expertise that you already have, right? That can already help you. So if you already know that, then we start saying, this is our natural ways of doing things that I enjoy. I'm so good. it come easy for me. So we already start building resilience into the things we want. And then we say, there's a goal, right? I need to hit 100K for this month. How do I get there, right? Based on those resources. So it's not necessarily scratch off your entire plan. It's more of how do we highlight the things people already doing so well, and in the design you already have the tools, instead of start looking at, but there's other tools perhaps is working better.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. And it's always a challenge, right? Like it's always a challenge as we start building companies and discovering what it truly means for us. Definitely be able to share some of the inputs for everyone, and appreciate everything that Mayra has shared with us. Technology nowadays, my computer hyper burned and shut down, and I think Mayra's laptop also got overheated, and then her battery is dying. So we'll wait for a minute to see if she shows up. Now, I do invite everyone, if you have a remote care solution, we would love for you to join our showdown episode for this month on April 23rd, where you have heard from Mayra that she is able to have years, she's been pitching for 3 years, and how do we actually help her to move forward? And she is saying she's jumping back in. Yay. All right. So we are all about intentionality and very actionable with with our time, with the energy effort that we put in. And therefore, for us, it's all about what do you need? How do we get there the most effective way so we can truly 10 times the effectiveness and only putting on the 2 times the effort. So we all know in entrepreneurship, and all of you guys who are founders, you work hard. Hard working is not the problem. Is that when we see progress that are not fast enough, that's the issue. So how do we get there is knowing what is the true clear path that you need based on what you already do well, and how you naturally communicate, spread energy, build authority. And then you are able to create the movements to move forward. Hi, Mayra's next to come back.
Here I am.
Awesome. As we wrap up, we see a trend of years ago, investors are not even thinking about menopause. Now everyone is really talking about it. And also hormone therapy. It's something that always thought about, oh, you're just aging, you need something extra. So some of the false belief is definitely there. How are you guys able to break some of the false beliefs as you move forward in this company?
Right. I think there's a few factors that have come into play. I mean, when we started this 3-4 years ago, the conversation was non-existent. And I think in the last couple of years, if you go to Google Trends, you'll see it has quadrupled the amount of shares about perimenopause and menopause. And I think, number one, there's a lot more women that are educated, asking questions, that are in science, that are in position of power, and they want to know. And they're been feeling so crappy that they just want a solution. So that has helped. That means that a lot of celebrities have come out and talk about it. That has brought down the barriers and the stigma down, which was one of the biggest problems we had, is that everybody was ashamed. So we're removing that shame. The other thing that has changed dramatically is that in the past, there was no education around that. So if you don't know what is happening to you, it's very difficult to have those conversations and advocate. But also doctors are becoming a lot more interested because they realize that they've been because there hasn't been enough research. There's also a gap in information that they have, and they want to support their patients better. So we've been getting a lot of inbounds from specialists wanting to know more and how to include it into their consultations so they can support better their patients. So that has helped a lot. And I think overall, the ability of having the technology that in the past was maybe only available to a few, like athletes, but now with all the changes in AI, in rapid testing, that basically allows us the possibility to offer this to more women at home, like we were saying earlier. So I think that there's a few factors, and we're quite excited about it, and we're also very grateful for the support we've been getting from women and from men, and also from specialists, health specialists. So yeah, that has been a great journey.
Yeah, it's a combination. You're truly doing the collaborative work of integrating everyone's need into one place. And as you expand from Mexico to Singapore to Japan to other marketplaces, we are also dealing with culture. At the same time, women, our basic necessity, how we grow is the same. So when you have companies, I'm also in a group called Born Global. They're all about having international businesses and to continue to expand and grow, or immigrant founders into the US, because that's also a big thing for me, is that not just women leaders need to step out and become founders and start creating and also investing more, but also you want to have other foreign borns, me included, that know what hard work means and not afraid to do the hard work, but also understand there are boundaries we have to set. So we're not burning ourselves out, or we putting the same mentality to burn our entire team out. Then you're never
Right.
gonna have someone to be in your corner to want to do things together anymore, right? Your co-founder is probably 2 steps ahead of you or behind you or lateral from you, and then they're nowhere to be seen.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's the challenge of entrepreneurship, but at the end of the day, we're going to work through it. We're so excited for Mayra to be on this journey, and as you're going through Jumpstart, we can't wait to see how your next phase of go-to-market strategy are shaping up, and all the great success that's already being seen in the community. And it just also, I believe it's fun, right? You got awarded in different points that we even run. And then I'm typically the one, I don't score anybody because I was involved with the coaching and the training part. So I usually have everybody else score. And you can see the progress of the right people will always come in because they have the good spiritual self, the good talent self, the good technology self, right? And that's the true 5-dimensional view we believe in. Is yes, everyone is about your expertise, right? Your technology, your intellectual property. Yes, we are not gonna put that down at all. But there's more than tech. There are people, there are culture, there are social network. Those are the true collaborators, and there are financials, because if we don't have enough cash flow upfront, or we're not generating enough, then we always have that ick about, ooh, am I going to run on a runway? What's going to happen
Right.
to my entire company, my team? People are relying on me, right?
Yes, absolutely. Bang on.
um, we know there's a lot more to celebrate in this space. So I just wanted to take a moment to honor you and celebrate you, Mayra, and also everybody else who are putting in hard work and doing the thing. And you all deserve to take a moment and honor the journey that you created. At the same time, knowing when to reach out and not be afraid from the past burden, and dare enough to say that what's past is in the past. What you can create in the future, it's in the future. And one of the key thing I want to tell all founders is, if you're unable to invest in yourself, how would any investor invest in you? You have to believe in yourself first. So as you're creating this journey, I'm sure a lot of people help you be selective, be intentional, and be gritty, right? Like putting the passion and persistence behind it. So we appreciate you. Anybody who have a founder story, we would love for you to comment below. We'd love to hear how you have been putting things together to make positive changes in the healthcare space. And for those who truly deserve to be on the platform, we would love for you to apply as a contestant on our next series of Showdown. And each of them is matched to a specific theme. And for those people who are like, Sabrina, I'm just not quite ready yet, but I want to learn the process and I'll watch. And that's okay too. Get on our general admission. You can come to any of our event. You can read the book, do the worksheet, and still keep going. And you're going to rock this. And we know there's plenty of goodness, people, resources around. You will definitely get to where you need to go. Make sure, just ask for help. We're all here for you. All right. Until next time. Mayra, any last words of how people can find you? What would be the a perfect ask you want a community to support you with?
Yes, please go to our social media, find Hormony, HORMONY, so find Hormony, and follow us in social media or drop us a message on our website. And last words is just thank you for the platform. Thank you for the time you spent with me specifically, and supporting the whole team as well. We've had a fantastic journey, so thank you for the time.
Yes, I can't wait to see all the amazing things that we still yet to do together. So until next time, we'll make sure to give all of you guys an update as we moving forward together. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to HealthTech Growth. If you're a healthcare tech innovator or founder interested in being a featured guest on our show, visit healthtechgrowth.io to learn more.